Good morning, everyone. Shall we stand as we're able and start together by singing?
Good morning, everyone. Please be seated. Thank you so much. It's so good to be back. For those of you who are new to this place, my name is Reverend Tom Dishrud, and I'm the associate minister here. And I've been on a 4-month sabbatical leave, so it's good to meet some of you this morning and to see so many wonderful faces and to be greeted so warmly. So thank you for the warm welcome. I had a good time away. It was restful and restorative and maybe gained a little perspective on a few things. But it was a good time away, and I really missed all of you, and it's really good to be back. So thank you for the warm welcome. This is First Unitarian Church, and we meet every Sunday. We've been around for a long time and many generations, and it's so good to be back with all of you today. There's a lot going on returning to the church, I will tell you that. After the service today is the last day of our annual auction. This is a great way that we raise money, but most of all, it's a way that we build community here at the church. So far, we've raised about $30,000 in the auction, and you have one last chance today, I think until 5 o'clock, to bid on those items that you may have your eye on. We will join together in the Buchanan reception space, which is in the building next door. And many thanks to everyone who has made this year's auction possible, to the great committee that has organized it, to everyone who's donated, everyone who has sponsored the auction, and of course everyone who has donated items and everyone who is bidding. And if you're not in that last group, you can join that group today. So go over to Buchanan and put in bids. Also today after the service, beginning at noon, so you have a little time to go to the auction and check that out. There will be a First Steps class for anyone who wants to get to know more about the church and about Unitarian Universalism, what it means to be a member. This is also a great way to get to know other newcomers. It will include a tour of our church campus, and if you've been here a while, you know that that can be a little bit complicated, so a tour can be really helpful in terms of getting to know your way around. So that class will be at noon, so like I say, you'll have a little time to go to the auction and then to the newcomer class. If you're a voting member of the church, hopefully you've received your annual church ballot in the mail. This will include a slate of board and nominating committee candidates. Eloise will be introducing them in a little while. The church budget and bylaw changes proposed by our board. Those ballots will be due 2 weeks from today on May the 18th. That will also be a very special music and worship service that we'll have on that day, so mark your calendars for that. Finally, looking ahead to next month, on June the 7th, this congregation will ordain Danielle Garrett to the Unitarian Universalist ministry. Danielle has served so beautifully in this congregation, and what an honor it is for us to be able to ordain her into the ministry. That will be on June the 7th at 2 o'clock, and if you'd like to be involved at that, check out the church website for ways that you can take part. Once again, welcome everyone. It's so good to be among you. Let's take some time now and greet our neighbors.
Listen to that joyful sound. That is a wonderful, joyful sound. I hope that it's emanating to the houses of folks and the rooms of folks who are with us online. And if you're online, we invite you to get a candle or a chalice and to join us in this opening ritual. And I'm delighted to welcome Amy Ongiri and Kiela. Amy is the spouse of Leah Ongiri. Kiela is one of 4 children of Leah Ongiri. Our fabulous lifespan faith formation director, who has really made such a powerful, positive difference with so many of you, our teachers. So yes. And now, let us say in union as we light our chalice, our affirmation. We are Unitarian Universalists. We light this chalice in faith, in hope, and in love. We have 2 calls to worship today, and you'll guess why in just a minute. I have a very important word to share with you, which is this: May the 4th be with you. A shout out to all my rebels fighting back against the empire in the house. Who is here? And just in case you don't know why everyone is wildly clapping, it is Star Wars Day, which is a holy day to many of us. And in honor of the late Pope Francis, here are some of his words to Congress in 2015, which feel like they could be delivered today. On this continent, too, thousands of persons are led to travel north in search of a better life for themselves and for their loved ones, in search of greater opportunities. Is that not what we want for our own children? We must not be taken aback by their numbers, but rather view them as persons, seeing their faces and listening to their stories, trying to respond as best as we can to the situation, to respond in a way that is always humane and just. Let us remember the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Our responsive reading, if it's, there it is, okay, good, is They Say I Am Illegal by Julia Hamilton. And this time I invite you to read the first line, and then I'll read the second line. They say I am illegal, but so is anyone who ever rolled through a stop sign, jaywalked, or threw trash on the ground. Not having a visa is a civil infraction, not a federal crime. They say I am here to take your jobs, but the jobs are often backbreaking and underpaid, and we are exploited by those who could never find a U.S. citizen to work under such conditions. They say that I bring drugs and crime with me, but it is U.S. consumers buying the drugs and U.S. weapons in the hands of the desperate. They say I am here to live off the system, but I pay taxes too, and yet I live in a shadowy economy that denies me the benefits of a secure old age and medical care if I get hurt on the job. They say that English is the only language worth speaking, but the true heritage of the United States is diversity. And I add my words and my traditions to the culture that enriches us all. They say I am here just to have my baby. But can you remember another mother who braved hardship and danger to bring her baby safely into this world? Can you deny Mary or Maria and the right to fight for a better life for her child? They say that you will know I am illegal by my work boots and dusty jeans. But what about the student who overstays her visa, the artist who cannot marry his American boyfriend, or the grandmother who cares for the baby while the mother works? We may not all wear boots. We may have come from many countries, and yet we are alike. They say that more I have, the less you have, but you are not diminished if I am raised up. Humanity is enriched when we climb together towards the light. Life is not a zero-sum game. Will you rise in body or in spirit for our doxology?
Good morning. Our theme this month is belonging. And so we have a story about how it feels to belong. My family encountered this book when my kids were small enough that they read the pictures, while my partner Amy and I would read the words. As we all grew into belonging to each other as a family, we read this book literally to pieces. When Reverend Alison told me our theme for this month, I dug our old copy out and discovered that only about 2/3 of it remained. And so I got to reorder it. My Amy and our oldest daughter, Kiela, are going to share it now.
Love is in the Hair, written and illustrated by Cyrus Marcus Ware. The night before the very big day, the day her parents brought her new baby sister home, Carter woke up at 3:33 a.m. and she could not get back to sleep. She went to her mom and dad's room and then she remembered they were at the hospital. She called out, "Uncle Marcus, Uncle Jeff, I can't sleep."
No one answered, so she went to the living room and found them on the sofa bed, fast asleep. Carter said, "I can't sleep," a few more times until Uncle Marcus woke up. Uncle Marcus sent Uncle Jeff to make some warm milk in the kitchen and walked down the hall to Carter's room. "Carter," said Uncle Marcus, "you need to try to sleep. Remember, little one, we need to get lots of sleep tonight so that we're rested for the big day tomorrow. Your new sister will be here soon, and we want to be awake to meet her." "I can't sleep," Carter complained. "I'm too excited. Can you tell me a story?"
Uncle Marcus settled in onto the edge of the bed, carefully moving his hair out from under him as he sat down. Carter looked at her uncle's hair with wonder. It was full of beads, fabric, shells, and jewels, memories and stories and magic. "Okay, my little one," said Uncle Marcus, "climb up here. What story do you want to hear?"
"What is this bead from?" Carter asked and smiled. She knew this story and liked it best of all.
Uncle Marcus held it up and said, "This bead is from a very special day 4 years ago when you were born. It's full of all the colors of the rainbow, and it made us think of you and all the hope of your new journey. We saw it while we were taking a walk to Union Square and waiting for you to be born. There was an artist selling handmade glass beads, and I knew right away which one would remind me of you forever," said Uncle Marcus.
"What about this one?" asked Carter.
Uncle Marcus said, "This is a piece of metal. It's from a music festival I went to long ago, before your mom even knew your dad. I met Uncle Jeff at that festival. I stopped to buy this metal bead. He was selling metal bracelets and we started talking. I've worn it in my hair ever since."
Uncle Jeff stood at the doorway holding a tray. "Did I hear a request for warm milk?" Uncle Jeff asked. He passed a warm cup to Uncle Marcus and to Carter. Then Uncle Jeff said, "But you didn't buy the bracelet. I gave it to you. And a woven bracelet too. I like you from the first moment." Uncle Marcus laughed. They always remember parts of the stories differently. "Yes, and that's why you have this story in your hair. This pink is from the bracelet, right, Uncle Jeff?" Carter held up dreadlocks with a pink thread running through them.
"That thread is from the day we decided to be each other's family," said Uncle Jeff. "We wove some of the threads from the bracelet into Uncle Marcus's hair." Carter was getting very sleepy. Uncle Marcus kissed the top of her head. "Dream on this, little one," Uncle Marcus said softly. "What is your favorite memory? What do you use to remember it by?"
The end. Please stay seated. There's one more piece before the learning community leaves.
Thank you, nicely done. I have good assistants at home. Okay, so our Hymn of Blessing is a song that some of the RE classes have been learning. We are incorporating more music into how we are together in the learning community. And we plan to use this song as a way to gather next program year. And so this is a chance for our whole community to get to sing it together.
Good morning again. So, I will sing through this once with Joe. We'll have it up on the slides, up on the screens behind me so you can take a listen, and then we'll all sing it together. Here I go. 1, 2, ready, and go. Open the door, move right inside. Come into this place where love and hope will abide. Reach out your hand, we'll welcome you in. It's too good to be together again. Tender moment. From the tippy top, here we go, everyone. 1, 2, ready, and go. Open the door, move right inside. Come into this place where love and hope will abide. Reach out your hand, we'll welcome you in. It's too good to be together again. Start out the day wearing a grin. Joyful faces make the people want to come in. Open your arms to show that you care, and our little light will shine everywhere. When you're in pain, trouble, or down, let the love come in to let the hurting get out. Open your heart to show how you feel, and we'll build a place of love that is real.
I invite all the learning community students and teachers and other leaders to meet out in the narthex, and together we will process over to Buchan. If you are here for the first time or you're relatively new, welcome, welcome. If families will just meet me out in the lobby there, we would be happy to show you where it is that we go. Thank you all.
We want to invite Eloise Eckles to come forward. It's the time when we reflect on what we give and receive to one another, and today that begins with offering leadership and service.
You got 2 for 1.
Good morning, I'm Eloise Eckles.
And I'm Ingrid Jestvang.
As co-chairs of our church's nominating committee, we are pleased to present our nominees for church leadership in the current election. And we are fortunate to have many engaged and dedicated church members who are willing to serve in this way. We invite nominees to stand as your names are announced.
The nominees for nominating committee are Joanne Four, Pierre Provost, Ellen Zachney, and Scott Eliasoff.
The nominees for Board of Trustees positions are Roger Robinson, Julia Griffith, Sarana Weller-Fills, and Roger Tobin.
All positions are for 3-year terms. Please take the time to fill out your ballots and support these nominees. Thank you.
In our church, it is our custom in recognition of our connections with the larger community and world that we share our offering each week with organizations in concert with our own church mission. This church year, we're offering our plate with organizations working for the rights and to support immigrants. This month, we're sharing our plate with VAWS, a worker-led organization that empowers diverse daily laborers and immigrants to improve their working conditions and to protect civil rights through leadership development, organizing, education, and economic opportunity. VAWS connects day laborers to jobs at the Worker Center. It offers a space to build skills and knowledge so that day laborers can earn higher wages and achieve long-term economic stability. It organizes in the larger community in defense of immigrant and worker rights, asking of public officials to pass legislation that protects and empowers workers and immigrants. Our ushers will come through here in the sanctuary in a moment to take your gifts. And if you're online, you can give a gift through the QR code that will appear shortly. And folks here can do that as well. Thank you for your generosity today and in always that support the mission and ministry of this church. Each Sunday, we make space in our service for the concerns of our community life. Prayer intentions are welcome at you can light a candle and share our prayer requests that are held by our ministers and lay ministers. If you're online, you can send that request to prayer@firstunitarianportland.org. And a reminder that our ministers and lay ministers are available for pastoral support all through the week. Our flowers this morning are donated in honor of Arlis Unger's 90th birthday by her husband of 69 years, Arthur Unger, and their children Lyle, Lauren, Lynn, and Lowell. Blessings, Arlis, on your birthday. A reminder that next Saturday, May the 10th, a memorial service is planned for member Liz Julie. That will be at 2 o'clock in our Elliott Chapel. Liz, longtime member of the church, died on March the 21st at the age of 81. And this morning we hold member Sarah Shore, who had a successful knee replacement surgery this week. Sarah is now at home recovering well and diligently doing her physical therapy exercises. Her steady and helpful presence in our shower project will be especially missed as she recuperates. We hold her as she recovers. Will you join me now in a spirit of prayer? Spirit of life and of love, God of many names and no name at all, hear our prayers this day. We begin, Spirit, in thanks for this community that gathers here once again, that reminds us we are not alone, that reminds us of so much we have in common. It reminds us that through the generations we have been coming together here in this place. Help us remember our shared grief, our shared joys, our shared aspirations, our shared humanity. In times when we are so often reminded of what divides us, when hate and cynicism seem so dominant, call us to our better selves, to our more compassionate selves. Call us to never lose sight of all we have in common. Help us to nurture love and compassion in the world. Help us to nurture hope in the world. Help us to always to see the healing of the world as our own healing, in our own possibility for hope and growth. Help us, Spirit, to put love at the center of all that we do. Amen. Let's take a few moments now and be together in silence. Our reading today comes from Blas Manuel de Luna. The author was born in Mexico and worked alongside his parents and siblings in California's agricultural fields. They had hit Reuben with the high beams, had blinded him so that the van he was driving, full of Mexicans going to pick tomatoes, would have to stop. Reuben spun the van into an irrigation ditch, spun the 5-year-old me away to immigration officers, their batons already out, already looking for the soft spots on the body, to my mother being handcuffed and dragged to a van, to my father trying to show them our green cards. They let us go, but Alvaro was going back, and so was his brother Fernando, so was their sister Sonia. Their mother did not escape and was going back. Their father was somewhere in the field and was free. There were no great truths revealed to me then, no wisdom given to me by anyone. I was a child who had seen what a piece of polished wood could do to a face, who had seen his father about to lose the one he loved, who had lost some friends who would never return, who later that morning bent to the earth and went to work.
Garrett Bells, Holly Stern. I know you're a professional violinist, but wow, was that beautiful? All of you, thank you. Thank you. If we look with the eyes of faith, there are no borders between human beings, or at least none that matter. We are one human family with one earth home. This is why religious leaders of many different stripes have continuously called upon the United States government to show mercy, compassion, and love when it comes to the treatment of immigrants in our homeland. Two biblical quotes that come to mind are, in Leviticus chapter 19, the stranger who resides with you shall be to you as one of your citizens. You shall love them as yourself, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. In Hebrews chapter 13, do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing so, some people have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it. Our first principle has long called us to act with clarity, generosity, and mutual care for immigrants who are part of our congregation and part of our broader country. We covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. And I remember visiting with a fellow UU who shared that as an immigrant from Colombia and an activist, two sayings guided her life, and they were posted on the wall behind her. Our first principle, which I just shared, and no human being is illegal. She said to me, they mean the same thing. However, right now, under the guise or maybe disguise of Christianity, evangelicals armed with the power of our current government are making a moral case for mass deportations and closing our borders. In fact, they hold more negative views than any other religious tradition about immigration. How can they reconcile this with biblical teachings? The answer is very simple. They do not. In a poll by Lifeway Research, 90% of evangelicals said they don't look to the Bible for their views on immigration reform. Seems like they're choosy about which moral issues they turn to the Bible for. They interpret questions of immigration through a lens of an increasingly militant masculinity, and for white evangelicals, a racialized militant masculinity that they claim to also associate with Christian values. And Christianity here becomes a proxy for politically conservative values. They aim to protect America, which they often gender as her, from the threat of terrorism and criminals, and Trump is their strongman. How different a patriarchal figure he poses from the one of Pope Francis, who was the same age as Trump is now when he visited the United States, the one and only time 10 years ago, to address our Congress. Pope Francis identified in his speech as the son of immigrants and reminded those at the gathering that they too were descendants of immigrants. He counseled lawmakers, if we want security, then let us give security. If we want life, let us give life. If we want opportunities, then let us provide opportunities. Not knowing exactly what the pontiff would say, but trusting that he would convey a message of hope, 100 immigrant women felt called to be present for this historic moment. They were selected by the We Belong Together campaign, which was anchored by the National Domestic Workers Alliance and the Asian Pacific American Women's Forum, and was launched and continues, but launched on Mother's Day 2010. The people chosen from all around the country each had stories that were representative of the kind of strength and grit and faith that is required to survive what for many would seem insurmountable. These hermanas, sisters, were asked to overcome yet another hurdle, to walk on foot 100 miles from a detention center in York, Pennsylvania, to McPherson Square in Washington, D.C., over a period of 8 days. This physically, emotionally, and spiritually challenging pilgrimage had a goal to spotlight what 11 million people living in the shadows in our country endure because of their immigration status. And of course, it's not just 11 million or 11.7 million, for their lives are interwoven with spouses, children, and all kinds of relationships. The 100 walkers wanted spiritual companions and requested to have the prayers and support of women chaplains along the route. They wanted ordained women as a symbol of women's spiritual leadership and companionship. So even though most of them were Catholic, this meant that the chaplains could not be Catholic. Even as I am lifting up Pope Francis in this sermon with his recent passing, it is deeply disappointing that he did not move forward certain issues, including the ordination of women. Four Unitarian Universalist ministers were invited by the We Belong Together campaign, and they responded yes. And we each took turns serving as chaplains: Wendy Von Corder, Lara Hauk, Kate Walker, and me. I walked with the pilgrims for the last 30 miles. It was a humbling, inspiring, and exhausting journey. The women I met represented a broad cross-section of immigrants from all around the country. They were Asian, Pacific Islander, African, Central, and Latin American. They were domestic workers, organizers, students, and more. They were daughters, mothers, and grandmothers of all ages, cis and trans, straight and queer. There were a couple of cars with us in case someone needed support. The walkers had a range of physical abilities, but all were able to walk at least part or all of the way. Some were walking for themselves and others on behalf of someone else. A woman from Michigan walked for her husband. One particularly heartbreaking moment was when word came to us that he had been injured, arrested, and detained by ICE and was slated to be deported. She was sure that this action took place this week because of her visible advocacy, and I'll name, Trump was not yet president the first time. It was a reminder of the fact that all of these women, or someone they love, and 11 million people just like them face daily fears and worries that were and are legitimate then and even more right now in this moment. It is why we were all there praying with our feet. That isn't all, though. Yes, we were marching, but we were also singing, laughing, observing silence, breaking bread, giving thanks, holding up banners, advocating for change, and most importantly, sharing stories of courage and survival. There was a spiritual force that ran strong in that group. Call it God, call it love, call it a spirit of collective liberation. The spiritual pilgrimage was towards the Pope and towards justice for all immigrants. And it was so precious an opportunity that some of the walkers came in spite of serious and debilitating illness. One passionate and courageous walker received chemo treatments at the end of each day. Another walker suffered from a physical ailment that caused her to have excruciating leg and foot pain with every step. She cried out, "I need a chaplain," at mile 97. She grabbed me by the arm and began to sob. When she was able to compose herself, she said, "Sister, I am afraid I am about to fall on the ground. Will you pray with me for God's blessing and presence to hold me up until the end?" I called over the interpreter, Carol, a member of the Unitarian Universalist church I served, and a leader in an immigrant rights and resource center, Wind of the Spirit. I asked Carol to join me, and each of us held up one arm. We walked arm in arm, praying in Spanish and English with the occasional outbursts of tears or laughter, and did not let go until she made it to mile 100. When I asked her, "Why are you walking?" she said this, "I am walking for the children. I have faith that people will take notice of our suffering and say, 'Enough.' I walk so that the children will not have to scrape by and suffer the way that we have. I walk because I have faith that things will change." The arrival at McPherson Square was marked by a vigil with clergy from many faiths present. On the way into the square, the walkers received two gifts. First, a flower to symbolize their unique life and journey with all its beauty and fragility and strength. And second, a candle to symbolize their light within and how their compassion and strength was an inspiration to women and people of all genders around the globe. A highlight of the closing was a takeoff of a traditional foot washing ceremony. We touched their sneakers, now made holy by their walking prayers, with water and shared a blessing for their continued journey for justice. It made sense to use water, the source of life that flows through their hearts and their veins and that of every human being, and through every body of water on the earth that nourishes all life on our planet. As I traveled back home, I gave thanks for all the people who have made a difference in the lives of my ancestors as their journeys brought them to these shores. Those who welcomed them, those who gave them their first place to live or gave them their first job. I also gave thanks for the strength of those of my ancestors who were not welcomed so readily, for their tenacity, perseverance, and creativity. The late Pope Francis is right. We are a country primarily made up of immigrants and descendants of immigrants. We came to this land seeking many things. Among them are freedom of religion, the chance to escape poverty, war, persecution, and genocide, and the chance to be fully accepted for who we are. In the fabric of our families are woven the stories of journey. Why did our ancestors leave, and how did they travel? Who didn't make it? Did they leave of their own free will, or were they forced? Were they headed on an adventure, or making the only choice they could to survive? Or were they captured and sold as slaves for plantations or the sex trade? In the fabric of our families are woven stories of arrival, acceptance, and stories of rejection. When the first person in your family came, how were they received? Who welcomed them? If you were first, who welcomed you? How were they or you treated? How did you find or they find a way to gain their daily bread? These stories compose narratives of hope and struggle, sorrow and resilience. They remind us whether our families arrived centuries ago on the Mayflower or before that, or more recently by airplane or car or on foot, that most of our families would never have made it to this day without the support of people who were here before us. Some of us benefited immediately and found those who were open to our arrival, to our humanity, and to all that we might contribute to this country. Others of us had to and continue to have to struggle to open the hearts and minds of citizens who live in a state of amnesia, forgetting that their story is connected to why their families left another place and how their families were received, survived, and thrived. So what can we do? We can offer a robust response to the current efforts of our government to demonize migrants, which has included mass deportations, including of some United States citizens, including attempting to deport legal residents for exercising the right to free speech. Mohsen Madawi, a Columbia University student, also has ties to the First Universalist Society of Heartland, Vermont. And I don't know how many of you saw on the news him singing alongside his pastor, Paul Sawyer, Spirit of Life. It was on Democracy Now! And other efforts include attempting to violate the sanctity of our sanctuary by declaring that ICE officials can operate in sensitive places, the suspension of U.S. Refugee Assistance Program, challenging birthright citizenship, neglecting due process, defunding efforts that support economic sustainability, healthcare, and so much more abroad. A robust response will need to include education, advocacy, community organizing, community service, public witnessing, and fundraising for these efforts. And guess what the great news is? We have 755 members and many, many friends. So no one of us has to do this alone. It's about each one of us finding a way to take part. Again, this is about collective liberation, not about one group or one person. It's about all of us. So here are some examples of what we are doing and can do. We need to mobilize our dollars to support immigrant rights, resources, and power. And guess what? We have been doing that all year. Nearly every Sunday, since September, we have split our offering with organizations in our community doing this type of work. We need to educate ourselves about what's happening. And in 2 days, on Tuesday, May 6th, from 7 to 8:30 p.m. on Zoom, our Immigrant Justice Action Group and our Advancing Racial Justice Group will host the third and final in a series of forums about protecting immigrants in our communities and exploring paths to active allyship with our immigrant neighbors, whether as individuals or as our community, as our congregation. Some of you are like, what day did she say? Tuesday, May 6th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. on Zoom. The link is in front steps. We need to leverage our collective power across the country and through the Unitarian Universalist Association to advocate, including through the legal system. Thank goodness for the judges and the way that they have countered this effort to demonize immigrants. And the UUA has joined other religious groups in suing the Trump administration to halt ICE, immigration and customs officials, from being active in houses of worship. Yes. And one last suggestion, and I know we'll get more on Tuesday. We need to collaborate with our interfaith neighbors downtown. I just met with a number of clergy about this topic, and through the wider networks offered through Ecumenical Ministries of Oregon, the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, and immigrant-led coalitions here in Oregon to support each other as we work collectively, again, to house immigrants and connect them with economic opportunities. And right now, I'm thinking about people that may be fleeing from other parts of the country to sanctuary cities like ours in order to have safety and security. As our UU Executive Vice President, Carrie McDonald, said recently as a part of that court case, as Unitarian Universalists, fighting for justice and liberation for all people is at the heart of our faith tradition, which recognizes the spark of the divine inherent in every person. Our sacred spaces must continue to offer sanctuary to those who face oppression, violence, or alienation, including immigrant communities. Let us remember that any border we construct is an illusion if it fools us into thinking that our lives are not interdependent. Let us open the most important borders, the ones in our hearts, and move towards an immigration system worthy of the words compassionate and just. We must turn away from the callousness and cruelty that is the defining feature right now. If we look with the eyes of God or the eyes of faith, we will see that no less than the fate of our hermanas and all our siblings is at hand. The United States is strongest when we recognize that our future and the future of immigrants are inextricably bound up. There is no them and us. There is only the we who make up the communities of our nation. May we go forth and apply this spiritual wisdom with our every step and our every movement. Amen. Blessed be. Si se puede. Yes, we can. now in our going, may the Spirit of love shine down upon us. May it bless us and be gracious unto us, and may it radiate out from within us. For each of us is called this day to be a builder of the beloved community, to say, yes, I can, to some offering to build that possibility. For this is the day that you and I are given, so let us rejoice in it and be glad. Go in peace, practice love. Amen.